Welcome back to Big Mike Sports. We are Atlanta born, Carolina raised, Detroit driven. I'm your host, Big Mike.
The one and only.
I'm back!
Except no substitutes, and that's exactly what the Lions did last night in their 34-20 win over the Green Bay Packers. Very convincing win in Lambeau to get the season back on track and really control their own destiny.
It's indescribably beautiful.
It's really exciting time there. The first half was a lot of fun, obviously, probably the most fun any of us have ever had watching a football game. Made you a little nervous later on, but the Lions were able to score a touchdown that they really needed to put the game away. And the refs and the Packers really tried their best to try and steal this one with that third quarter ending play on triple zeros for a 44-yard shot pass. But Quay Walker with the leaping over the field goal attempt as a makeup call for that triple zeros play. Ended up giving the Lions a touchdown at the very end to try kind of seal the game. So really good stuff from the Lions. They looked amazing. Really looked like a complete team, and it really bodes well for the rest of the season because, like I said before, after a win like this, the Lions really control their own destiny. Their schedule is not that difficult. They have games against the Chargers, the Ravens, and the Cowboys, and that's really all you have to be worried about. Other than that, they end up playing the NFC South and the NFC North, of course. So really big win, really big momentum changer. The loss to the Seahawks feels like so long ago, and it wasn't even that big of a loss for them. I mean, it was close and heartbreaking, made people kind of doubt what was going on, but it was the beginning of the season, first loss. But now they've won two straight. They've gone 2-0 on the road on Thursday Night Football in prime time, so really good showing for them. That, of course, the national media is all over them. The bandwagon has officially left the station, so it's all in the Lions' hands right now, and you can't even really remember the last time that happened. I mean, maybe 2017, I think they had first place in the division at 9-4. Then they ended up going on a 3-game losing streak after that because Stafford had an injury to either his hand or his thumb or something like that, among other things. So really exciting time. Has it ever really been like this? I mean, the fans traveled. They really showed up in the stadium. The chants of "Let's Go Lions" were audible in Lambeau. Starting in, I think, maybe even the second quarter might have been the first time I heard it. So despite the refs trying their best and the Packers, trying to get some fluky plays in there, the Lions were able to hold on and shut it down. So shout out to the defense and shout out to David Montgomery. This was Monty's revenge game as he had never beaten the Packers before until today. In his career against the Packers as a Bear, he had like 60 yards per game, around that number, and I think like 2 total touchdowns. That was in 7 games. In this one game as a Lion, he went for 121 and a cool 3 touchdowns, a hat trick for Montgomery. So you know that it meant the most to him. So that's why they ended up pounding it with him. And I was kind of surprised that they really piled on the attempts for him. Like early on in the second quarter, the guy had 14 rushing attempts already, finished with 32 in the game. Coming off that injury, I didn't think that they would ride him as much, but I guess it just meant that much to him, and he just kept asking for the rock, and they gave it to him. They happily obliged. So really big performance from Montgomery. Makes you not really miss Jamal Williams at all, except for maybe his personality. But Montgomery's been a great replacement for Jamal Williams because Montgomery keeps the wheels going after first contact. I mean, can't even tell you how many times he got met at the line of scrimmage, but then was able to carry his momentum forward to turn a gain of no yards into a gain of 4 or 5 yards. So really great performance from him, a really great story. And the defense really dominated the Packers in this game. From that very first drive where Goff threw the interception and he thought, oh, well, here we go. We're going to set ourselves up from disappointment. Not going to be able to perform on the big stage, but the defense really stepped up and responded, and it really set the tone for the rest of the game by not really allowing a yard there and only giving up a field goal, which was a big win for the defense. And then it felt like the Packers did not score again for what felt like 2 hours or so. I mean, from then on, it was just all Lions. Everything that could have possibly gone the Lions' way did, with the interception, the big plays on offense. The safeties continue their big production on the backside of the defense, especially Melifonwu. Ife Melifonwu, he was making big plays and big hits and everything, and I was wondering, oh, who's number 6? And I looked at his nameplate and it was, oh my god, that's Melifonwu? What a turnaround from that guy. That guy was toast. I didn't think he was going to make the roster, but now he's showing up in the backup role, getting the spot start because our defensive backfield is still a little banged up. He really impressed with the big hits, the pass breakups. Tracy Walker as well, continuing to play really well in his starting role now in relief of C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Kirby Joseph. He almost had an interception. He had his hands on it. There were actually a few dropped interceptions, but luckily Jerry Jacobs, who had been struggling mightily the first few weeks of the season, was able to come down with 2 of them. He still ended up getting a defensive pass interference, which, seems like kind of his calling card so far this year. But honestly, it didn't look that bad. I think that he just drew the flag because he might like have the reputation for it by now. Who knows? It didn't look that bad, but there were a few kind of questionable flags on the Lions like that. The biggest one that pops up besides the Jerry Jacobs one being the Anzalone flag for supposedly lowering his helmet and leading with the helmet to make a tackle on a ball carrier going out of bounds. It looked like he was more leaning with his shoulder, and there was only like a slight dropping of the helmet, but it didn't seem intentional to me, but whatever. But the Lions, the penalties have been kind of weird. Like, it hasn't necessarily affected the outcome of the game yet, but you can't keep going with like 8 penalties in a game. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what they have to clean up there, but you can't keep getting penalized like that. It'll come back to bite you eventually. Detroit, not usually a heavily penalized team under Dan Campbell, I don't think. So kind of an odd outlier there. There were some more holding calls on the O line, but it was mainly just Glasgow, which you can't really blame him. He's an older player on his way. He's at the end of his career, and he's a solid guy to throw in there when you need him. But yeah, he had a couple like that, and then there was this one sack on Goff where he got turned around on a stunt by the Packers and ended up giving up a sack. But like I said, you can't blame him too much as a spot starter there, and serviceable at that. There weren't really any other problems with the O line. I mean, if you saw some of the holes they were opening up, where there's one David Montgomery touchdown run where the O line was in the end zone before Montgomery even got the ball, so they were opening up huge lanes for Montgomery the entire game. So you really like to see that kind of performance from them. Speaking of stunts, the Lions' defensive line was relying heavily on the stunts to get pressure on the quarterback, and it worked spectacularly. The Lions hardly blitzed in the game. I don't think they actually sent a blitz until the second half. I could be wrong, but the point is that they got a lot of pressure without hardly blitzing. They brought up this graphic earlier in the game where it was something like a 46.5% pressure percentage and only a 0% blitz rate, and I thought they had made a mistake. I thought there's no way that they hadn't blitzed yet. But yeah, they got all this pressure with just 4 pass rushers because they were setting a bunch of stunts and twists on the D line. Stuff like lining up Aiden Henderson way on the outside and then making him do a little inside stunt. And it worked. It got him his first sack of the game, and there were plenty more to follow from the rest of the team. Back when the Lions were good and like quote unquote consistently, for them anyway, in the playoffs, it was all about the defense. It was all about the D line really performing well and really setting the tone. And if they're able to do that again this year, then the sky's the limit because, having a tough team in the trenches like that, that's what these good Detroit teams have really been built around in the past 10 or 15 years or so. So really good stuff from them. This could be what some are calling the best Lions team since 1957. And like I said, the road is wide open. It's all in their hands. They like the path to the 1 seed and a home playoff game at the very least is there for the taking if they want it. It's like war is over if you want it, that John Lennon line. The playoffs are there if you want it, and the whole league is over if you want it, Lions. It's all there for the taking. So really exciting time. Also, Brian Branch being a complete warrior, really setting the tone for the defense. He's going to be a leader on that defense for a very long time. His Week 3 jersey from the Falcons game is already in Canton because of his huge performance. Like 11 tackles, 4 pass breakups or something like that. One of the only ones to have ever put in a performance like that, let alone as a rookie. But he hurt his ankle at one point in the game, and he got carted off as a precaution. I was telling my friend Larry the landscaper, who I was watching the game with, that they were just carting him off as a precaution. He looked fine. He was able to walk off under his own power. It looked kind of bad in real time. At first, I thought it was a knee, and I was like, oh, here we go. But it was just a slight ankle thing. He was able to go back to the locker room, and then he came out getting taped up and somehow returned to the game and still played really well. He quote unquote re-aggravated the injury a little bit on one play, and I was just like, Branch, you've done enough, man. You've proven to everybody, what kind of player you are. The game was already kind of spoken for at that point anyway. So what a performance from Brian Branch, and that whole draft class still showing its stuff, showing why all the haters were wrong after that draft class happened. It's honestly might go down as one of the greats. I mean, time will tell, but an amazing draft class already, and we're only a quarter through their rookie year. And yeah, the Lions are able to get the pressure, rushing only four. And also, the final note here, the Lions are still not even in their final form. Like I've said that before, in this game, they really got closer to being able to play the complete game. Besides that interception by Goff early on, but that's just kind of a fluke, I think. But they were able to do really well at halftime. 27-3. Like that's nothing to stick your nose up at. Like that's an impressive performance, and in a way they kind of atoned, like kind of exorcised some of the demons with this game also, because whenever your team's up 27-3 at halftime, you get a little nervous because obviously the other team's going to make adjustments, and make adjustments the Packers did. The Packers really made a run at it in the second half, as they did against the Saints also, so you knew it was coming. And as soon as it went to like 27-11 after the Packers got that touchdown and two-pointer, you're kind of like, okay, here we go. We really need to score again to put the game away. And then the Packers, get the ball again, and that fluky 000 play happens where they get the 44-yard shot play. And watching that play, it was just time slowed down for a second, just in complete slow motion as you saw that happen, because as Lions fans, we've seen a few things over the years. We've seen this team get screwed over by so many just random occurrences, and I thought that was going to be the turning point. I feared the worst, but hats off to the Lions. They did not quit after that, not one bit, and they really took control of the game after a while. I mean, they did not allow the momentum to fully swing, and of course that Quay Walker play really made up for it, basically handing the Lions a touchdown. I think that play really broke the Packers' back, and after that, it was pretty much over. But another classic matchup between these two teams, like just the Lions being able to go in there and dominate, and really make it their own home field by the end of the game. I mean, really says a lot about this team and where it could possibly be going. It'll be really exciting to watch these two teams play once again on a Thursday on Thanksgiving. Maybe the Lions will actually win a Thanksgiving game. It's been a little while. They had a little run back there in the mid 2010s where they won a few, but yeah, that would really make the season amazing if they were able to win on Thanksgiving once again. And speaking of the Lions not being in final form, the big news today: Jameson Williams able to be reinstated on Monday after the NFL tweaked its gambling rules and policies, which is really good because that suspension was kind of out of pocket by the NFL. I mean, 6 games for pretty lackluster gambling thing. Betting on a different sport at a hotel, like pretty weak stuff. So I'm glad that he didn't have to serve the full suspension, and he'll be able to be back against Carolina. Quote unquote easy matchup against a winless team. I mean, of course, every team is going to give you their all, but really nice home matchup there against a team like that. Hopefully, J-Mo will be able to make a big flashy play. Speaking of big flashy plays, Gibbs is going to get one eventually. It's all a matter of time. He's still being really efficient with the carries that he's gotten. 8 rushes for 40 yards in that previous game against the Packers. Still not able to really bust a big play, but he will eventually. I'm 100% sure of that. And you could tell that this game really got to LaFleur. He was really upset. At the end of the game, he snapped at a reporter and everything, really just being a real bum. I mean, being snotty like that, being kind of like kind of acting like a teenager, like kind of angsty. Like, oh, well, what were you would have done? We got our butts kicked, blah, blah, blah. Dude's kind of a schlemiel. Uh, you know, it makes you wonder, back when he was coaching at first for Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers and they ripped off the three straight 13 win seasons, I always thought he was kind of overrated. Now, of course, back in the day with the Big Three in Miami, I thought that Spoelstra was kind of an overrated coach, and that kind of came back to bite me over time because he's obviously made himself a case as one of the great coaches of this generation. But yeah, Matt LaFleur, I don't know. Uh, of course, he'll get another season or two after this. And the season's not lost for the Packers. They're only 2-2 here. They can still make a run at the division. Um, but, just really up and down, kind of middling play. Like, there's good from Jordan Love. He made some big throws, but he was just under pressure a lot. Um, the O-line being banged up doesn't really help the Packers either. But Jordan Love will eventually put together something. And I'm because, the talent's there. He just needs more consistency. So overall, I'm not panicking on the Packers just yet. I mean, it would be nice if they would, go downhill and really give us the division kind of running away. But they're a tough team. They have a lot of history of success, and yeah, it's going to be fun to watch the division play out over the rest of the season because the Vikings aren't going to lay down. They're going to try and give it their all to try and climb back into the race as well. So yeah, huge game for the Lions. Really great, performance in such a huge game. Couldn't have asked for any better of a performance. Really, there's no doubt anymore. Like this team is really good. I mean, I said earlier in the year, at the very beginning of the season, 9 to 12 wins. Well, now we're definitely on the upper end. I mean, like I said, the only games that I've circled as like serious potential losses would be that Ravens game, although they are pretty injured, the Chargers, and the Cowboys. Now, of course, there might be one sneaky team that kind of surprises you and catches them off guard and beats them, but I mean, yeah, that's like 4 or 5 losses at the most right now, is what I would project. Maybe the Vikings steal a game against us, maybe the Packers do end up winning on Thanksgiving, but yeah, 12 or 13 wins seems really possible, like reasonable right now, which is obviously really exciting. Fighting for the tops in the NFC. Everybody considers us now to be one of those top NFC teams, which is really crazy. It's the 49ers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Lions. You can scramble them whichever way you want, but those are the top 4 teams in the NFC right now. And we do have a little action. We got some tickets from Caesar's Palace that I took earlier in the summer for Lions winning the NFC Championship, Lions win the Super Bowl, and Dan Campbell Coach of the Year. And if all that happens, we win a cool 450. So really exciting season for the Lions. We have a financial stake in their success right now. Of course, we only put in $30, but the upside is there. And with JMO coming back, it's all roses right now. This team's really good. They have a lot of fight. The talent's there, the depth's there, the coaching's there. So we just got to ride. I'm always a pretty optimistic fan, even when they were kind of down in the dumps. 4-19-1 under Campbell at one point, or whatever it was when they were 1-6 last year. I was just, you still gotta believe. Like they had the culture there. The guys believed they were always in the game no matter what, except for a few instances. But one of the best records against the spread, if not the best, under Campbell's tenure, and with Goff as the quarterback. So you just gotta believe in them, and it's not very often that you can believe in a Lions team quite like this. I mean, maybe under Caldwell a little bit you might have believed, but I don't know. Caldwell, like he was a nice guy. He just couldn't like win the big one. Something always seemed to come up. Like they would always beat the teams that they were expected to beat, but then that record against winning teams that Stafford had, holding down his career for so long that people gave him so much grief for, it's really turned around here under Campbell. I mean, they're not only are they in every game, but now they're starting to beat the teams that nobody expected them to beat, and really starting to flip the script. So it's a really exciting time. Again, what a game it was last night. Probably one of my favorite games that I've seen as a Lions fan. Of course, they made the heart rate go up a little bit in the third quarter there, but the fact that the Lions were able to hold on and take care of business there, really inspiring stuff. And can't wait until January when hopefully this team rather, will be in the playoffs and hopefully winning a playoff game at home. And I can't even imagine how Ford Field would sound with the home playoff game. I mean, we heard them sell out the preseason game against the Giants, and it was deafening. The visiting Giants having to go on a silent snap count in the preseason, and in the home games so far in the regular season have been largely the same. So we can't even imagine how a playoff game would sound, let alone a playoff victory. Like for 3 or 4 weeks straight in Detroit, the city would just be completely trashed if the team ended up making it to the Super Bowl, and let alone winning the Super Bowl. Uh, if the Lions end up winning the Super Bowl, I think that the sky will open up and the apocalypse will begin, and the team would float back up into the sky like the ending of Grease or something. It would be quite the sight to see. I would definitely be on my knees and sobbing. So yeah, hopefully that dream can come true. This is a very special year. The coordinators are firing on all cylinders, and who knows how long they'll even stick around anyway. So that really puts a big onus on this season and making it a really special one. So yeah, can't say enough about this game and this team right now. Just feeling amazing and just trying to ride that wave, man.
What's up, boss? You believe that?
Of all the
Hold on. Oh no. Do you believe in that?
Tomorrow, another exciting college football Saturday. Some big games going on. You got number 24 Kansas visiting number 3 Texas. Kansas did win in that building a couple of years ago, so interesting matchup there. We'll see if Texas can hold on and keep their college football playoff and title hopes alive. 22 Florida going at Kentucky. Could be pretty tough. Florida, we'll see if they can travel and climb back up after that really early, just embarrassing loss against Utah earlier in the season. Number 8 USC visiting Colorado. Big over-under, I think it's like 73.5. USC a huge favorite. I wonder if Colorado will actually be able to put up any points and make it kind of a more of a shootout game. That's how I thought that the Oregon game was going to go, but Oregon ran them out of the building pretty quickly. And then the College Game Day visiting Durham, North Carolina, as number 11 Notre Dame travels to take on number 17 Duke. Duke's got the best scoring defense in the ACC right now, so it'll be interesting to see if Hartman and the Irish will be able to put a dent in that. And then Riley Leonard, the Duke quarterback, he's got some wheels and he's got some grit too. So that'll be an exciting game, I think. I think that that'll be a close one. South Carolina going to number 21 Tennessee. Man, we were big on Tennessee the night that they lost to, what was it, Florida. We were talking big about Tennessee, but I guess too soon. And then number 13 LSU going to travel to take on Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss has that one, but who knows? I mean, LSU is such a up and down team. It seems I can't really get a good read on them. Um, yeah, but some exciting games tomorrow. Oh yeah, and then tonight, number 10 Utah at number 19 Oregon State. I like Utah in that one. I think Oregon State's favored. So yeah, we'll be looking forward to checking out those games. Then on Sunday we got the Toy Story London game, which will be interesting. I hope that that goes well because it's a cool idea. The execution, we'll see how it goes. So, but yeah, stick around and thanks for hanging out.
To this day,